If you've ever spent a holiday in Morocco or Turkey or somewhere in the Middle East, well, you've probably heard a sound like this. That was the sound of the shawm, the forerunner of the modern oboe. It's still possible to earn your living by playing the shawm in places like Cairo and Istanbul today. The instrument you just heard was something like this. It's got an expanding conical bore with a wide flared bell at one end, and at the other a tiny reed, just a small piece of cane, squashed flat, and then mounted on this metal staple. You take the whole of the reed inside your mouth when you play, pressing your lips against this flat metal disc. It sounds like this. As you can hear, the shawm was a pretty loud instrument, and it was normally reserved for use out of doors. The first Europeans to hear the shawm were the first Crusaders, who charged into battle against the infidels and had their ears deafened and their senses terrified by the most appalling sound that they'd ever heard. They subsequently identified it as a 21-piece shawm band. The typical Saracen military lineup of those days was shawms accompanied by long trumpets and drums. Anyway, the Crusaders managed to capture some of these strange new instruments and brought them back home to Europe, where they remained in use for over 500 years. Still out of doors, of course. As you could hear, the shawm was quite a jazzy instrument, good for dance music, and throughout the Middle Ages and the Renaissance, it was used in Europe for ceremonial music of all kinds. Excuse me, I'm rather out of breath. This instrument comes all the way from China. Nearer home, shawms are still played in Morocco, where this instrument comes from, in France, where this little biniou is used in Brittany with the bagpipe, across the Pyrenees to Spain, where they use this dulzaina, and also in Spain, two mechanized versions of the shawm, the tiple and the tenora, both complete with 19th century key system. During the Middle Ages, the shawm developed in a number of important ways. The most important was that the embouchure changed. The embouchure is the way you produce the sound with your lips. On the Oriental type, you don't control the reed with your lips at all, only with the pressure of your breath. On the later European type, the disc was replaced by the funnel-shaped pirouette, and the reed itself became much larger and more like an oboe or bassoon reed today. Shawmists learned to control the reed with their lips, but the sound was still fairly penetrating. Like most Renaissance instruments, the shawm developed into a family of various sizes. There was the soprano, which you've just heard. There was an alto, a slightly bigger alto with extension keys called a nicolo, the tenor, and the bass, which was really rather an imposing instrument, rather taller than me. Believe it or not, the bass shawm wasn't the largest of the family. There was even a great bass too. A characteristic of these larger shawms is the perforated key cover or fontanelle, and also the metal bands which were added at various points. They were added for protection, really, as well as strengthening, since the shawm came in for some pretty rough usage, particularly in the town bands. One player in the Augsburg town band in the 16th century was fined and imprisoned for assaulting the town bandmaster's son with a bass shawm. A very unpleasant thought.